I also hope people get some hopefulness from the show and a sense that there are bad guys, there are bullies, but there are also people around who do choose kindness, and that we can gravitate towards those people and we can also choose that.
I'm Joyce Kulhawik, longtime TV arts and entertainment critic, president of the Boston Theater Critics Association, and a contributor on GBH's The Culture Show. I'm very excited to be your host tonight for what I think is going to be a fantastic conversation with a creative team whose work we deeply admire here at WGBH. Tonight, we're going to take a behind the scenes look at Wonder, A.R.T's world premiere musical, which is based on the novel by R.J. Palacio and the Lionsgate and Mandeville film of the same name starring Julia Roberts. And we are excited to share the news that the show's run has officially been extended through February 15th. That's huge. I'm so excited to be joined by some of the creatives who brought that show to life. Beginning with Sarah Ruhl, who wrote the book for Wonder. She is an award-winning American playwright, author, essayist, and professor. Her plays include, and I've seen all of them, Eurydice, Passion Play, and two Pulitzer Prize finalists, In the Next Room, or The Vibrator Play, and Passion Play. Her plays have been produced on Broadway and across the country, as well as internationally, and then translated into 14 languages. We're going to be using English tonight. She is the recipient of a Whiting Writers Award, a Penn Center Award for Mid-Career Playwrights, a Steinberg Distinguished Playwright Award, and a MacArthur Genius Award Fellowship. She teaches at the Yale School of Drama and lives in Brooklyn with her family. Joining Sarah is A Great Big World, encompassing the Grammy Award-winning duo of Ian Axel and Chad King, who created Wonder's music and lyrics. The world first fell in love with their music, as did I, in 2013 when they delivered Say Something with Christina Aguilera on The Voice, I believe, reaching 6-time platinum status, garnering over 1 billion streams, and earning them a 2015 Grammy Award for Best Pop Duo Group Performance. Killer song. You're going to hear a lot more of them in this show. The duo met while attending New York University with aspirations of writing a musical. Their theatrical flair is very apparent on their debut full-length album, Is There Anybody Out There? And their songs have been sung by some of the world's most recognizable voices, including Andrea Bocelli, Ellie Goulding, and Gwen Stefani. And now their story comes full circle as they set out to accomplish what they originally dreamed of doing when they first met, which is writing a musical. We can't wait to talk to them about everything to do with Wonder. So without further ado, please welcome to Behind the Curtain, Sarah Ruhl, Ian Axel, and Chad King. And here we go. And they're applauding like mad out there, even though we can't hear them. But we know they're there. I have to begin with, well, first of all, just so great to talk to all of you. It's really a privilege to be here behind the scenes. I always like the sneak peek or, to find out how the sauce is made, which is what we're going to get to. But I have to tell you what I first noticed when I came to the theater for opening night, which was a couple weeks ago. And that is how many kids, children, and families were in the audience for a show at the A.R.T. and a show about such a sensitive topic. Who is this show for? Anybody?
Thank you so much. That was such a nice introduction. I mean, I can jump in if you want, but I think the show is for everyone. And I think the show centers a little boy, Auggie, but it's also about his mother, his big sister, his dad, the community. So there are a lot of portals into the world, and I think that's why the novel resonated with so many people because there's so many ways in. And I also, I just, I tend to think that the theater is healthiest and most democratic when multi-generations can go experience a story together, when we're not saying this story is only for teenagers or only for older folks, like when a grandmother can go and bring a grandchild and they both will find something that moves them, intrigues them. Um, Everyone can have their favorite character in Wonder, and they do. I mean, I've talked to the author RJ or Raquel, and they're all kinds of fan favorites that you wouldn't necessarily predict.
And of course, that presents its own unique set of challenges to the creatives behind the scenes, because you've got to reach a lot of people, including with the music, right? So, Ian and Chad, yeah, about that.
I mean, you know, when we write music, we're always trying to keep the inner child in us alive through all of our songs, and that's one of the many reasons we were drawn to writing Wonder and writing from Augie's perspective and writing from the kids' perspective. And um, yeah, for some reason writing for kids is like the easiest. Writing from a kid's perspective is like the easiest way in for us.
For me,
Because you're just like a couple of kids.
I mean, we're trying to be.
Yeah.
I am so proud of like how we were able to write for the kids and really respect the opinions of them and their voice and what they uh how they see the world. I feel like you don't get that a lot. I feel like it's yeah, it was so great to be able to actually channel the kids' perspective that way.
To be able to reach them. This is a show about a boy named Augie. He has a rare genetic condition. It's called Treacher Collins syndrome, and he appears facially different. Sarah, you get into this very early in the show where you explain what, or the show tells what it is the audience is seeing. And for a lot of us, we may have never seen anybody who looks facially different.
Mhm.
Tell me why you placed that there. Tell me about that.
Well, I mean, when you do an adaptation, sometimes I say, it's actually the easiest thing in the world. You take your favorite bits and then you put them in an order. And I guess it's actually more complicated than that. You're trying to figure out what information the audience needs at any given moment and how to set up a song so that it soars. So in the case of trying to give the audience a context and a grounding for what Augie's dealing with facially, it felt important to put that at the beginning, to be open-handed about that. And we have this incredible actor, Garrett, playing Augie, and did a huge search to find him, and Max, who goes on during matinees, and they're just extraordinary. And you would never know that it's their first, professional time in front of an audience.
Actually, I did not know that. That's pretty extraordinary. And it's a big difference between the movie and the theater piece. In the movie, a young actor plays Augie, and they use makeup to make him up to have this facial difference. What did that bring, you think, to have the actor have the difference?
And Ian and Chad,
Yeah.
please jump in, but I think it completely changed process for one thing. I mean, I think we had an incredible consultant, Matthew Jaffe, come in to talk to us about disability and facial difference, which Matthew also has, and just to center that real lived experience, and to see the group of kids really organically become a company and really rally around Garrett and Max. That was its own beauty for me. That was its own play within a play in a way, was watching the process of that company come together.
Yeah, and I would say just writing the show and working with Garrett and working with Max and our consultants just help change the way me and Chad see, and I feel like one of our big goals in doing this piece for theater is to maybe we can change the way the audience sees by the end of the show.
Ideally, any art form does that, changes the way we see ourselves, each other, et cetera, et cetera. the A.R.T. is no stranger to putting on mounting world premiere musicals, many of them that go on to Broadway. And we're already getting questions about this in our chat, which is, will this go to Broadway? We don't know. But whose idea was it to take what was a book, then a movie, a successful movie, a successful book, and turn it into a musical? Can anything be a musical?
It seems these days as if anything could be a musical, but in this case, it was our wonderful producer Jill Furman's idea. She got in touch with the author and obtained the property, and then Ian and Chad were on very early, and I came much later to the process.
So, Ian and Chad, how did you come to this material? And didn't one of you go to BU, or weren't you a student here?
Yeah, so I went to BU for 1 year. It was a misguided decision by me just because I was studying business management.
Oh
Nothing wrong
yeah.
with that, but I don't know why I was doing that. And so then I transferred out to NYU to do music, and that's where I met Chad. So I lived in Boston for almost a year. And but we've always wanted to write a musical. When we
Like
met, that was
from
yeah.
the first, like one of the first days we met, like I knew when I heard him play the piano, I was like, we have to do a musical. We got to write a musical." And then eventually, then we got sidetracked and did the band thing, and but eventually now we're doing a musical. Yeah.
And we found out through someone on our team that Jill was looking for composers for this, and we felt like it was the perfect story for the type of music and our that we make and like our sensibilities. And so we wrote a couple songs feeling like we had no idea what we were doing, and we sent them in to Jill, and somehow they chose us, so here we are.
Also, we that was like for me that was the first time I read the book, hearing about this, and it was so moving, and it felt so profound and so meaningful, so timely. It felt like it needed to be written, and there had to be a way to make it a musical, and that was really exciting for us to try to explore.
Yeah, tell me more about that. What is it about a live musical that adds something that the book and the movie don't have? What do you think live music does for this material?
I think you get to hear the internal dialogue that is in some of these characters' heads that you may not get in the book. Actually, Sarah, what do you think?
I mean,
I mean, or
I mean,
if you're, yeah.
I mean, you get to feel things that are impossible to put words to.
Yeah.
Um, yeah,
You get embodiment and
yeah,
you get presence, and that's different. And I think the novel is really genius at going into people's interiors. And the film, I think, does really give you a sense of catharsis, but theater is the original
Yeah.
catharsis container, and theater is the original empathy builder. So when you get an actual company of actors and you get, you know, an actual little boy singing the song Shoes, which is, I think, one of the genius songs in the show. Jack sings the song Shoes, where he's imagining himself to be in Augie's shoes. It's different when you have an embodied person live that experience and communicate it to the audience. So, I mean, I definitely was moved by the movie. I remember seeing it on a plane and just sobbing, and a stewardess came over and said, "What's wrong? Are you okay?" And I'm like, "I'm just watching Wonder." And I think, you know, the inclusion of things like Thornton Wilder's Our Town as like as a little piece of the musical and the film. Thornton Wilder's roots are theater. There's something about the idea of presence and community and growth, kind of moral growth, that is very specific to a community of people coming together in real time to tell the story to people in real time.
You know, in order for something to be as moving as this is, and to, I think, to participate in a project like this, you have to bring something really personal to it. You have to be able to relate to this in a way out of your own experience. Tell me how each of you relates to this material. I mean, you don't have facial differences. So, how do you relate? I mean, I think the play is asking us to do something more than just relate to those who have of facial difference. Although, Sarah, I'm remembering you have had some experience in this arena.
Yeah, my experience, of course, is really different from Augie's, but after I gave birth to twins, this side of my face was paralyzed with Bell's palsy, which is normally a condition that goes away quickly for people within 3 months. But in my case, it was a very, very slow, incomplete recovery over the course of a decade. So I definitely experienced not being able to show emotion on my face, having people misinterpret my emotions, even people taking random pictures of me when I wasn't looking because they thought my facial expression looked, quote, crazy, or kooky. Um, so my sister had given me the book after I had 3 kids at the time under 5, and I think she was very moved by it just as a piece of literature, and I think she knew I would be moved by it because of also what I'd been through with my face. But I do think there's so many points of entry, and I've known a lot of parents who brought their kids who've had issues with bullying at school who are deeply moved by this, and I definitely was one of those kids in the cafeteria who was like, "Oh God, where do I sit?" I had one or two bullies, so I relate to it in that way also, and I relate to it as a parent having 3 kids and trying to always keep all of them in mind, even when one of them seems to be needing the priority of my attention for whatever reason. And that's something that happens in the family is the experience of the older sister Via, how she gets sort of lost in the family or is a little bit invisible, and comes to be really visible.
Yeah, Chad and Ian, what about you? What is your personal relationship to this content? What was it that moved you about the content?
For me, I've been battling MS, multiple sclerosis, for a while, and
Wow.
and and when Ian just helped me realize this, like literally right before this call. But as we're writing this, the music for this, I started getting the hardest symptoms I've ever had, which is my walking became really challenging for me, and I needed a walking aid to get around. And it was the first time that I felt like I really understood, empathized. I know it's different than what Auggie is going through, but I felt like this understanding and this empathy that I hadn't before felt for him as we were writing this. And um,
Interesting.
I don't know. That's how I have connected to this piece.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I mean, for me, it's a little different. I mean, I I just responded to just the heart of the story,
Yeah.
and I when I when I write, when we write, I just want to like be like so heart forward and so as vulnerable as we can be, and I just felt like I can just you can this it was like a huge love bomb,
Hmm.
this story. And I I immediately found myself just imagining what the music would be like in outer space, in the world of Augie's imagination, as like one of the ways in. And I had just had a baby, and I was totally moved watching my first child. I now have 3 kids, but like starting to to grow up, but just as a parent, like watching this film, and how my relationship with it changed as my kids got older, and how it's still changing.
Hmm.
And so that was how I initially was able to get myself in.
I don't think there's anybody who could not relate to this material. It's really all about being vulnerable, isn't it? I mean, it's really all about those places that all of us feel. I mean, who hasn't known where to sit in the lunchroom, right? Who hasn't felt bullied, awkward, other? I love that about this show. You don't have to have a facial difference to be able to understand Augie. And I think that's what this show really asks us to do, to connect. And it does. I think, Sarah, you did a beautiful job with that, weaving those stories together. Um, I want to talk about the casting because it had to be hard to try to find just the right person to play Augie. And I know you've got two. We've mentioned Garrett McNally and Max Vole. They share this part. Um, how was it working with them in the room? What did you learn from working? How did they change the vibe? What was that like?
Yeah, I mean, with Garrett specifically, we started working with him. I want to say in 2022, was it? It was a while ago, and we first saw him on a little video he made. I think he was singing "I'm Still Standing," and he just
I love it.
had this spark to him. I you can't. I mean, you know it when you. I mean, he's grown into such a phenomenal performer, but you know it when you see it. And I remember we did a Zoom with him, and we got to talk to him, and we he sang like a song or two, and there was just something about him, and he was so excited to come to New York to do a workshop, and you know, with Garrett and with all of those, I feel like we've worked with, I think all or most of those kids we worked with for years now, and we've got to kind of like
Wow.
watch them grow up a little bit.
Yeah, how long a process is this? I don't think people understand how long it takes
We're
to make a musical.
we're at like year six,
Yeah, 6 years maybe
six and a
since we
half.
started.
Yeah,
Wow. Wow. So you're a family.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah,
yeah.
it's an epic. And I think watching Garrett and Max become more confident and less self-conscious acting was to
Mm.
me in a way like the story of wonder. And I almost wish there had been a documentary, seeing some of those acting coaches and lessons. I remember one time I stepped in because Allison Luff had to go to the show that she was in, and they were doing an improvisation to get Max feel a little looser with his voice. And so they were saying just sing your line, and Allison had to step out, so I came in and played the mother. And I grew up on those kinds of theater games. So for me, watching kids in general become more confident and retaining their kindness, that's another thing that was striking about this group. It's a really kind bunch of people, and I think there's something about the material that foregrounds that and attracts that in people who come forward to be part of it.
So I always want to know how things happen. I mean, for example, I do not cook, but I always want to know what's the recipe and how did you make it? So I want to know, I've never written a musical either. So I want to know what comes first. Is it the words, the music? Who leads, or do you all do everything? How does that work?
It's a
I I I personally
yeah.
don't know that answer.
It's I don't know how we did it.
We were counting on you to know
I
too.
know.
It's a leap of faith. It's just putting yourself in the room. It's letting your guard down.
It's
It's trusting
trusting that
your
it'll,
collaborators,
yeah, you'll figure it out
and
somehow.
yeah, and trusting yourself, and uh just going without trying to get in your head about it. I mean, maybe it starts with we have a song idea that we show
Okay.
Sarah. Maybe
Maybe it starts with a scene that we turn
yeah,
into a song.
and we ask Sarah to write way more than what the characters
It's
will say, just to kind of get us going, because then maybe we'll see something that Sarah writes, and one line or one phrase stands out to us. I'm like, uh-huh, or we'll
Wow.
turn that into a lyric, and then we'll riff on that. It's like very collaborative.
this is our first time doing this. I know it's not Sarah's first time. So this is our approach, is which is like, okay, let's just try it and we'll
Fly
figure it
by
out.
night. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a lot of FaceTimes
Yeah.
randomly throughout the day. Yeah.
And I part of Ian and Chad's process is veiled in mystery because sometimes I don't get to watch what they're doing because they do the lyrics and the music together. And so sometimes we'll be working on something together and then they'll say like, okay, we need to we need to be alone, working on this. So I don't know what they do.
Oh, it's very it's I'm very happy that there's that no one can see it because it's ugly and dirty and we're banging our heads against the wall most of the time, and then there's those moments of where something feels like it's created, and I still don't understand those moments. They're a mystery to me.
It's
I
like
will,
it.
yeah.
I think it's trusting that in the music side of things, it's trusting that like he'll grab something or I'll grab something that I hear is like, oh, we should keep that. Let's hold on to that and run with that and lean into that. So, and we kind of just trust that one of us is gonna find that thing. Yeah.
I will say that every lyric, every word in the score is well considered,
Mhm.
between the two of them, that they have gone over every single word matters. And that was always their rigor with that was always like incredible to see. And then sometimes we do things like they'd say, well, can you just pretend to be Summer just like going off in a monologue and what she might be thinking or feeling. And then maybe I'd see some of that emotion in a song, which was always really exciting.
Right now, there was just one song that really stood out for me, and it was "You Are Beautiful," and I'd like to play that right now so we can hear it, and then you'll talk about it. So Lola, let it roll.
You see this wrinkle right here, and this mark on my chin, and all the gray hairs I'm growing. This is a map showing where we have been, and our hearts show us where we are going. You are beautiful, each and every one of your scars tells a story of a boy who's stronger than he'll ever know. You are beautiful, brighter than a sky full of stars. Oh, Auggie, what a wonder you are. And I know it may seem that life can be mean, that you're in a bad dream and it's hard to wake up. But just look at me now. You know you're allowed to be proud of what makes you different. You are beautiful, each and every one of your scars tells a story of a boy who's strong and brave. I hope you know you are beautiful, brighter than a sky full of stars. Oh, Auggie, what a wonder you are.
Oh, wow. Okay. That's gorgeous. That can't be said. That's got to be sung. Tell me about that song.
Yeah,
That that was one of the first songs we wrote for
Oh.
Wonder. Um, sorry, go ahead.
no,
That
I
was
mean,
that it felt like so easy to not easy. It just felt so. It needed to be written.
yeah, I
That's
mean, in I can't remember if it's the book or the movie or both, but the moment where Augie comes home from his first day of school and he sits on his bed and his mom comes in and he asks her, "Is it always going to matter what I look like?" And I just felt like that was the moment that needed to be sung, and being a new dad, and I just then and now it's like all the music that we write, it's like always is inspired by my kids or like what I want to give to my kids, and I felt like I could maybe I could write this song now as a parent.
Gorgeous. And that's Alison Luff, I should say, singing that song. She plays the mom here in Wonder. Um, wow. That to me is the heart of what one wants to communicate here. And it's actually the reason I'm wearing this tonight because I was thinking about a heart. This is a beating heart. And I think this show is really about somehow exposing the beating heart, tending to the beating heart. And that song is like what we want to say to our children and also to ourselves. We need to say that to ourselves a lot of the time. Forgive me, but it was very, very moving. Um,
And Allison is
oh, that voice.
so incredible. Her voice and her as an actor. I mean, she gets me every time. Every time I've seen the show, there are moments that I feel like she makes me cry in the show so much.
Yeah,
So
beautiful.
yeah.
And speaking of the beating heart of it, I mean, I think the show is very hard on its sleeve, and so is the book, and so is the music, and I think our culture right now, there's a kind of
Mm.
stiff, deadened fear, fury, terror, um, closed offness, lack of presence, um, and so it felt really important to tell a story where people felt brave enough to put their heart on their sleeve and speak from the heart, sing from the heart.
Well, I'm so glad you said that because, all the art that you make doesn't exist in a vacuum. It's really a response and it exists in the context of the larger world, which, as you described, is very rough out there right now, very divided, very violent, and it's all around us. And we have leaders who have actually bullied people, made fun of others, and targeted them. Your show is almost radical at this point, which is sad, but necessary. So you're filling a real void.
Well, and I think it's something I never would have thought of when I first read the book Wonder, that kindness and decency and civility
Mm.
and empathy would feel political, like a politic, because anyway, I don't mean to go on about that, but
Well, exactly.
there's a song in the show called Choose Kind, which was kind of
Mm.
a mantra or a movement that RJ started, the writer of Wonder, where her book reached, thousands of people in the school system, and then they started an anti-bullying campaign. And when I've talked to experts on bullying as part of the experience of doing this musical, they've said, yes, it's really important that schools start talking about bullying, not in a reactive way, not like once someone is bullied, but in terms of what culture you're creating at the school. And one of the nurses we talked to, Pat, who's been an incredible guide, has worked in the NYU craniofacial unit and said that for her department, there was a before Wonder and an after Wonder. And before Wonder, kids with craniofacial differences were really often scared to go to school and scared of being bullied. And after Wonder started being in the school system, there was much more of a dialogue that had been created, and there was less fear to for some of these kids to go to school for the first time.
So, of course, this answers the question, why do we need the arts? Why do we need theater? Don't get me going. Why do we need music? Exactly. It makes change in very visceral, foundational ways that connect us all. Obviously, I know I'm preaching to the converted here, but we all feel this, and there's a real change in the room when you're in the presence of this music, this story. People are asking questions about some of the specifics of the story. From because lots of folks have seen the movie, they've read the book. They want to know, is the dog in it?
Oh no.
I
Really
know.
sad.
It's
The
a
dog used to be in it. I was really into the dog and Daisy, and there was even a song when Daisy died, and
Oh, there was.
Daisy is not in the show anymore. Daisy was a casualty of there are many plots to manage and wonder, and Daisy's not currently in the show.
Okay. All right. But the show is still in process, shall we say? I mean, I don't know. I'm asking.
Well, it's not in process now, in that the actors have it and are, it's theirs at the moment. But, if we get lucky enough to do the show again, I'm sure we would change things here and there.
Mhm. What about you added a character though? You
That
added something.
yeah.
We
That's what,
added
that's what I
space
was gonna say.
Auggie.
Sarah, in place of, not in place of, but Sarah brilliantly added another character that I think fills that place that Daisy the dog did as
Hmm.
well. So I think the trade off is going to be hopefully okay with you when you see this show.
Yeah, the character is Sarah. You call him Space Augie. His other
Yeah,
name is
Space Boy,
Hi-
Moon Boy.
Moon Boy. And we've been calling him Space Augie for so long internally. And he is Augie's imaginary kind of space friend, who is really connected to his helmet. And when he puts on his helmet, he puts on his helmet to feel safe, and it's kind of his safe place. And his imaginary friend, Moon Boy, sings for Augie, and sings with him, for a lot of the show.
Hmm. Yes, I know he comes in initially with this astronaut helmet and, but I was thinking about something else there too, about this perspective from space. And I was thinking about that in Our Town. The use of Our Town here to me is beautiful. It's really something because you get to stand away and look back and you have some perspective on life, what's important, what isn't important, and also theater as a tool, again, for expressing what can only be expressed in these ways. So it's like a play within a play within a play, this kind of thing. How has making this show changed you?
That's a beautiful question. And I do want to say the Wilder, no one's made that connection before between the sense of zooming out
Mm.
and almost the overview effect and Thornton Wilder. And I think that's a brilliant connection. And I do think every young theater nerd will love to sing the duet Our Town at some point. I won't
I
sing.
mean, Our Town slays me anyway. I mean, just that is the great American play, is it not?
What has changed? It's such a beautiful question, and our consultant Matthew Jaffe had asked that in a rehearsal once, and I do want to share something that one of the young actors said, and then I can share for myself too. But the actor who plays the bully, Julian, was
Uh,
asked that question, and he said, I realize that words have power and that my voice has power and it has the power actually to hurt people. And I say things that are really awful on stage, and I realize my voice can do that. But when I get off stage, I make sure that I don't do that. I make a really clear separation. But, this is a kid who is so sweet in real life and, was on the verge of tears saying this. And he felt his own potential for cruelty, basically the human potential for cruelty, which he himself seems to barely have in him at all. But I thought that was incredible, so I just wanted to share it. I mean, as for myself, um, I think it brought me even more sense of closure with my own, feelings about facial paralysis.
Ian and Chad, how has it changed you to make this music and be on this trip for 6 or 7 years? This is a long time. What are you leaving with? And maybe you haven't left it yet that you didn't come in with, let's say.
Um, I think I think I'm constantly on this journey of of trying to love the things that I'm insecure about myself, or the
It's very
things.
hard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Uh, um, the things that I want to hate about myself, and and just like realizing that they're a part of they're a part of the things that people in my life may love about me,
Mhm.
and leaning, not being afraid to lean into it, just not when we're writing and when we're creating, but also just in my life outside of this show, and that we're all kind of dealing with um, our own battles, whether they're visible or they're invisible. And Sarah wrote a really beautiful article about this recently. Like I have my whole life, I've struggled with OCD, and it wasn't diagnosed till I was shortly before we started writing Wonder, and it's got my hardest moments in life were around my OCD, and just coming to terms with that more, and realizing it's a part also of the music, and um, you know trying to find the balance there. But I don't know if that answered the question.
Yes, you have it. You answered it beautifully. And I'm thinking that because you are in touch with all of this, it seems to me, because the music is so tender. I will say that that's really clear about this score. There's something really, heartfelt isn't exactly the right word, but it gets to a very tender, gentle place, the music. And your voice, actually, I've heard your voice. I know, we've all just heard your voice, which is so beautiful. And it looks like a direct line to your heart. So thank you. Thank you for that. I was also thinking that in writing the book, Sarah, you had to figure out obviously what to leave in, what to leave out, what to stress. This could be a very heavy, heavy, sad, difficult topic, but the book is quite funny in many cases.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking about that character, Mr. Tushman,
Mhm.
Mr. Tushman,
Yeah.
the principal, when he first meets Auggie. That's genius.
I always think life is a mixture between sadness, humor, and joy. Like, I just don't like living in tragedy if there's not a little bit of effervescence. And I like that about the book, that it has a light touch. And I think it's something we've played with, that we've seesawed around with in terms of, okay, where's the humor? Where is the song that drives versus a song that is making you really feel that ache? Um, but I think RJ is really funny, and I think Augie's funny, and I think Garrett is really funny. We have a lot of funny people in the cast. Mr. Brown's really funny. Miss Petosa's really funny.
Mhm.
And I think we were talking earlier about invisible challenges, and another way of saying it, I guess, is I feel like everyone has their own cross to bear in a way, and humor is one huge tool in how we all grapple with whatever our particular internal mountain is that we're climbing. I think there's a lot of wisdom in humor.
So yeah, when Augie goes to his school for the first time, and he's been homeschooled, and now he's going to have to, get out there. He's got to get rid of the helmet and get out there. And one of the first people he meets is Mr. Tushman. And Mr. Tushman says, I'm Mr. Tushman. And it's like, go ahead, I've heard all the jokes about Mr. Tushman, Mr. Tush, whatever. And instantly they're connected, right? Instantly. It's like, look, I'm
Yeah.
the principal, but people make fun of my name, you know.
Yeah, it's disarming. It's really disarming. And I also just wanted to make sure, Chad, did you get a chance to answer the question about what changed you about Wonder?
Ah, that's just
She's
so
coming back to
I,
you.
I the I didn't, and I was actually thinking of another angle as an answer for that question, which was the process of writing the music is is so different than how we've written music in the past. Like this other any music that we had released before this moment was always internal. How do I feel? How am I going through this journey? How am I going to share this journey like this, like my life perspective? But to be able to actually write music from these other optics, that was, and to be able to do it, I feel like to be able to like, I feel like we were able to really write from them, from these other optics in like, well, because I feel like it came naturally to us, and it felt like it took the weight off of our shoulders, or at least my shoulders, to write from that angle. And I can't tell you how much I found joy in this process of writing that I didn't know I'd have. So yeah.
Wow. Hidden talents, or yeah, something like that. I hope it's
Yeah.
not your last musical together. Let's put it that way. This is a new beginning, which is nice for the new year.
Yeah.
What would you say is the most important thing you want people to take away with them, or that the show wants to communicate if it doesn't do anything else? Why should people see this show? What do you want to give them, and what should they take away? What might they take away?
There's two song titles that I might just
I'm,
mention, which
I know which ones you're gonna say.
Which one?
change the way you see and
Uh-huh.
choose kind.
Yep.
I
Mm.
mean, it's right there, right? I mean, it's a sort of consideration of your perception. And I think what's amazing to me about Wonder as a live event is you can change the way you see in real time and in 2 hours. Um, I also hope people get some hopefulness from the show, and a sense that there are bad guys, there are bullies, but there are also people around who do choose kindness, and that we can gravitate towards those people, and we can also choose that. We can choose to cultivate that in ourselves.
What are you hearing from audiences? This is a world premiere, so this doesn't have a long track record. I mean, at this point, what's the feedback? Are you hearing things that surprised you, that you didn't expect?
Sarah, I didn't tell you this, but a good friend's mother left a voicemail for me after seeing the show, and she was so overwhelmed with joy after seeing the show. But she said, "I've never felt more compelled to choose kindness than after seeing that show." And I was so moved by her message, and I love that. Anyway, I think that's a type of reaction we're getting, which is so unbelievable.
Mhm.
I tend to be a little like a horse with blinders on during a premiere. Like I can't take in too much of
Yeah.
Same. I'm
stay off
learning.
the chats. But I've certainly had, personal messages in my, Instagram DMs and things like that. Mothers who've flown out to see the show who have kids with facial differences,
Yeah.
parents whose kids have been bullied, and, just friends who've been really moved by it.
Somebody is asking, will you release the soundtrack? Would love to listen to all the songs over and over
I
again.
mean, I would love to release the soundtrack. I mean, I would love to make the soundtrack. I think, if we're lucky enough for this show to have more of a life after February, there will be
Yeah,
uh,
music
there will be music that
for
will come
sure.
out, and from the cast, and also we want to create our own versions of the songs too. And these are songs that we would love to sing as well. And it was so challenging to be writing this music for 6 years and not be able to share any of it, and not really be able to tell people what we were working on.
Talk
And
about mysterious. Yeah.
yeah, and then it was so frightening to just put it all out there at once after 6 years. And
Well,
uh you know so
yeah,
but
I mean, exactly. That's your own edge of vulnerability, right? You've worked on this thing for 6 or 7 years. Then you've got opening night. You've got all those darn critics out there. Critics, and I'm one of those people. And we sit out there and we listen and we evaluate, or what is that like? I'm just curious, informally, about your reaction to critical reaction.
I thought this is my first experience with it in this way. I mean, we've put out albums before and I've seen reviews, but I feel like this is a different beast altogether. And
Beast.
yeah, well, it's just like, I mean, I
Got it.
thought I had thicker skin, and I don't. And I felt myself very vulnerable and raw after the show opened, and
Yeah.
I was reading too much, and it was affecting me in ways I couldn't even imagine. So and and then I started hearing about different, writers who were like, "Wow, we don't even read reviews, like good ones or bad ones." I'm like, "Huh." Like before, I wouldn't have understood that at all, but now I'm like starting to a little bit.
Yeah.
I'm way too sensitive.
Well,
So
I think the three of us share a pretty thin skin. Like we're all pretty thin skinned, vulnerable artists. And I think that the reason I tend not to read reviews is because I feel like usually they aren't directed at me. Like they're in a conversation with an audience, but not necessarily with me. And if someone tells me you really need to read this one review because this review is talking to you, then I will. But I think that this is part of why I love conversations like this, so that critics and artists aren't scared to be in dialogue with each other, because we need arts criticism. We need the arts, we need arts criticism, we need arts journalism, like we need people to shine a light on the arts. So here we're talking to a critic who's wearing a heart necklace and talks about beating hearts. So it doesn't have to be scary, but I think what's scary about it in a way is being objectified in the conversation, that you're something that you feel very emotional about, um, gets to be judged in a more cognitive way in public. So there's always some fear that comes with it for probably all of us.
I didn't mean to call it a beast.
Quite all right. I have both a thin and a thick skin, but having been on the air myself, I know what it's like to be criticized. And so I stopped reading stuff about myself a long time ago. You just have to do what you do, what you do.
Yeah.
And to all the critics out there who may be listening, I think we feel like we're part of the dialogue and we just want to, yeah, I mean, ideally you want to collaborate and it's all very productive is maybe the best way to put it, and that these are useful points of view. That it's not about the ego of the person doing the evaluating, etc. You clearly have put your hearts and souls into this, and we all know that. I think good critics know that, and we salute you. And it's a very hard thing that you do, and most of us can't do it. So there you go. There you go. Well, this has been just incredibly lovely. I just loved our conversation, and I want to know, you must be thinking about what's coming next in terms of where does this go? I mean, are you thinking about Broadway? Everybody's asking that question. Where does this go? And people are saying the show is giving Dear Evan Hansen vibes. There's all this kind of excitement around it.
Here's
Thought?
what I say. Let it go to Broadway. How about it? Why not?
I mean that would be a dream. I mean, it already is a dream. And I feel like we've in a way like defied all odds to like get here to this point.
Yeah,
In the way that we did. But yeah, I mean, for this show to have more of a life outside of past February would be. I mean, I love working on this so much, and
yeah.
we all find so much purpose in this, and I feel like the world needs this story now more than they ever have.
Absolutely. I couldn't agree more. Listen, I've got to wrap up, but thank you so much to all of you and
You.
all the
Thank
people
you.
that we did not see who are part of this. I mean, they're just your director, Taibbi Magar, and you're the set, which was, very interesting, unusual, and really had to amplify that whole cast. The lighting, all of it. We know that there's so many unseen moving parts behind what comes out, including what you do behind the scenes. So we just want to thank you for this very thoughtful, very inspiring conversation. Thanks for being so open and vulnerable here tonight. Not easy to do. I just want to tell everybody, we want to thank the American Rep Theater for making this opportunity possible, and remind everyone that it's playing at the American Repertory Theater now through February 15th. And you can purchase tickets by visiting americanrepertorytheater.org/shows-events and use code GBH for $5 off your ticket. And of course, thanks to everybody out there whom we cannot see, but we feel you here with us. These events are really really and truly not possible without your support, especially now when PBS is under a lot of pressure and a lot of strain, as all the arts are. They should be at the top of the list, not at the bottom. That's another conversation. And I think that's it. I think I've wrapped up. Thank you. Thank you. We
Thank you so
love
Thank
much.
you.
you.
Thank you. Great to meet you.
Thank you.